Hey, what's up guys? So I want to talk about Geargia because it's a deck that I was pretty interested in playing, and I've play tested with the deck for a significant amount of time, and I think it is a pretty good deck. I mean, this deck has came a long way since I've tested it. I mean, originally I started with tour guides and stuff like that because I always start out with tour guide in like every deck I make because I think it's a pretty well-rounded card. But that said, yeah, this video is mostly for people that are interested in playing Geargias or have played it, and we can kind of get some discussion going on. So I just want to talk about Geargias and its effect on the meta, and what it can really do. So the one problem I really think that Geargia has is it doesn't throw anything threatening first turn. Like, it doesn't throw anything where your opponent goes, oh, I need to be afraid of that card. Like, you can't throw up a Shein, a Lagia. You can technically throw up a Shockmaster first turn in this deck, but it's not too often that you can really do that, nor is it that effective because you have to use too many cards in your hand to actually get out the Shockmaster, whereas lineups can just throw up Shockmaster a lot faster. Also, another thing that a lot of players will say is Thunder King hurts the deck. I actually don't think it hurts the deck that bad, depending on what variant of, Geargia that you play. Geargia has a lot of great back row. I'm still kind of testing out, what essentially works in the deck as far as back row. I want to try more compulses. I've tried compulses, but the thing is, like, I just really like Lance. Like, Lance plus this card is just, it's pretty deadly. But we'll get into that later. But yeah, as far as like the playstyle of the deck first turn, like the best play it has is literally first turn armor, or like Arsenal into armor, or I guess technically you can gear frame, but that still doesn't throw anything threatening first turn. But yeah, like I said, the deck, like, it's too slow first turn. Like second turn, like, you can get a huge field, but like first turn you can't throw up anything where your opponent goes, oh, okay, I can't use this card. Like, you literally allow them to do whatever they want as far as them summoning a monster. However, Geargia does have pretty good back row. They do have good room to play all the good back row, like the Solemn Brigade, D-Prisons. But the thing with this build is, I really have been liking Lance, and that would be due to Fortress. I feel like Fortress is honestly a really, really good card against the meta, because against Dino Rabbit, it's pretty good. Against Chaos Dragons, it's pretty good. Also against Mermails, it's actually pretty good. Surprisingly, like, when I've been playtesting with this, like, it does really good against Mermails, because if they're going to target to pop it, I get to see your hand. If they're going to, attack over it, which rarely happens, usually they'll just pop it or they'll go for Catastor, which is an annoying card for, this deck to deal with. Basically, you make Maestroke, and that can deal with Catastor, because this would be destroyed by a card effect, and you wouldn't get the effect, because only when it's destroyed by battle, you get to target one card that your opponent controls, and you get to destroy the target. But I'm going to hit save deck so I don't time out, because I timed out before. But that said, yeah, Fortress is really good, and the problem that I had originally was every time I go for Fortress, it would get Bottomless or D-Prison. And I really didn't care if it got, like, the D-Prison hurt because it was banished, but I didn't care that, like, if I attacked into their monster, and let's say their monster was 2400, if they D-Prisoned, I would be like, it's cool, I'll Lance it, because then that way I can still get rid of their monster. So, that way, Fortress then crashes into their monster, and then I can just still pop one card. Sometimes it's really important to just get that pop in. And the thing with Skill Drain, like, Karakuri Geargia loses to Skill Drain, and that's why, like, there's an MST there. Skill Drain isn't too popular, like, other than Dark Holes, nothing really plays Skill Drain at the moment that's really, like, high on the meta. Yeah, Lance is just, I really like it because of Bottomless, because, like, you can't really Bottomless very many things in this deck to begin with, and, like, no one will ever Bottomless this card. Like, hardly ever will anyone Bottomless this card. They usually wait for Fortress. So, the thing is, you're very vulnerable to Bottomlesses, because the deck can play relatively slow, too. I'm testing it right now with Tragodia, and it's doing pretty well, and I'll get into that later. But yeah, more about Lance, because every time I go for Geargia X, it always gets Bottomless, and it always hurts a lot, because, I really just don't like getting this card Bottomless, because I want to add the gear frame, depending on my hand. Like, sometimes I've noticed that, like, I'll have, like, a hand where I just can't do anything. Like I said, again, if you don't open up with armor or gear frame, and you don't draw it within, like, 3 turns, and you don't have Tragodia, or, like, good enough protection, like, I've had times where I've drawn multiple Accelerator, and, like, MK, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't really work too well. If MK was a tuner, that'd be awesome, but then it'd be, like, way too good. But, yeah, sometimes, like, I've thrown up, I've noticed, like, sometimes if I'm in a bad spot, sometimes I'll go Accelerator, Special Accelerator, and then, yeah, because you can, all you need to control is a Geargia monster, so you can control another Accelerator. So then sometimes I went for just a quick X, because I needed to do something, and, I just went for, gear frame. I would attempt to go for gear frame, but then, of course, it gets Bottomless, and then I'm out. So I really do like Lance. I think Lance is a great addition to the deck. Technically, yes, if I played more MCs, I could, technically hit the Bottomless, but it's just, it's just a good card. I think Lance it's a very good chainable card too. Like I just think it's a very well-rounded card, especially with Fortress. Like I just feel like it just works really well. Like I said, Fortress is just a problematic card, and one thing with Mermails is Mermails, they can only have like a 24. That's like pretty much their highest like beater. And then occasionally, sometimes they'll go for like Milling Glacier, and then at that point you pretty much like lose anyways. But the thing is, if you're warning that, you'll be A-okay, I would say. But I mean, even if you bottomless that thing, even if it gets its effect, I mean, this card is just so good. And when a player needs to use 2 cards to get rid of Fortress, and then you still get your Fortress effect to pop one of their cards, it's just like it really hurts. Like if they got to use multiple cards to like somehow target it and destroy it, you still get its effect to like look at their hand. Like Fortress is just too good. Being able to discard himself really just makes him like so much better. But I really feel like Fortress is it's too good not to play. And that's why I'm playing the Machina build right now. But going back to like just testing in general, I think I'm going to actually cut Grand Mole, because Grand Mole doesn't have very much synergy with the deck, other than it just being, just good. It's just kind of a tech card. But it kind of goes back to, like, if you open up with, like, no Geargia armor or no gear frame, you don't have any plays. So, like, Grand Mole is still just a solid summon. Like, what is someone going to do for a turn? I mean, I've had a lot of people sometimes they'll just, like, Dark Hole you. Because they're like, no, I don't want to deal with Grand Mole because it's too annoying. But yeah, Grand Mole can, like, hurt a lot of decks, and like sometimes against 6 Samurais it's pretty nice if you can successfully get it summoned and you're like, cool, see you later, Shien. But yeah, I think Grand Mole is a pretty decent just tech card in general, but it doesn't really have very good synergy with the deck. As far as in the extra deck, things that I've noticed that are really good. Oh wait, one thing before we get into that, I wanted to talk about Torrential Tribute. I think Torrential is a fantastic card, and you'll see it's not in here because again I'm kind of just testing out different ways to play the deck. And the reason why I don't like Torrential is because I don't want a Torrential when I have an armor on board. And the thing is, like, there's nothing else that you're okay with getting Torrential other than Sangan. I might actually cut Sangan and cut the Grand Mole. But the thing is, like I mentioned before, like, armor is, like, your best play. Like, first turn is just set armor. And with decks like Inzectors, I'll be like, oh, it's cool, you set. It's cool. I'll just, like, destroy everything. But, Sangan, he searches out armor, and armor is really needed in the deck. And, like, you need to get it very quick. Otherwise, if you don't have Tragodia, like, or gear frame, you're kind of in a sticky situation. But yeah, I think Sangan's okay, but I might just cut it out for more traps. But yeah, the thing with Torrential Tribute, I didn't like blowing up my own armor, because like when they would summon something bigger than it, this is what I used to do. Like if I set armor, set Torrential, they go Tour Guide number 17, detach, attack into me. I'd be like, oh, okay, it's cool. I'll let it go through. I'm not going to Torrential on the summon. I would then add an Accelerator to my hand because Geargia armor flips. And then what I would do is I would then summon my Accelerator. Then I would Torrential it. I would Torrential my own Accelerator. Then I would add armor to my hand because Accelerator has that effect. Keep in mind, when you do Synchro with Accelerator, he does miss the timing. Otherwise, he'd be like insane. But that said, but then I was like, okay, I understand how I can use Torrential in this deck. This is how I use Torrential. But then you didn't have anything. Your board was blank. You used your normal summon to summon the Accelerator, and then you would have nothing unless you wanted to discard and get Fortress out, which was an option as well. But I don't know. I do want to fit Torrential here because I think Torrential is a fantastic card. Next up, Duality. This is also a card that not everyone plays, but I actually like it a lot because, again, first turn of this deck, like, all you do is you go for armor. Like, you don't need to special summon first turn. You can, though. I mean, you could throw up, like, a first turn Geargia X and, just add a gear frame, and you could be set up, essentially. But the thing was, again, you can't throw up anything threatening first turn. That's really a thing I don't really like about the deck, is you can't just throw up something and your opponent's like, oh, I got to worry about that. But again, you do have a good back row. At least I feel like the deck has good back row. Again, I want to play Compulses. I'm just kind of testing stuff out. I might just cut like this or this. I don't know. I feel like I actually cut Deep Prison. And I might actually be using Mirror Force. Because Mirror Force wins versus Mermaid Lanterns, because that deck likes to go all in. And like sometimes they'll just pop one in your back row. And then like they'll try to go all in for game. And if you Mirror Force them, you just win. As far as the extra deck goes, this isn't really a deck profile, it's more just like kind of just talking. One card I think is really good that no one really plays. I haven't seen anyone like play this card in Geargias, but this card is actually really easy to get out. All you need to do is go for MK to get back Accelerator, and then you just special summon Birdbind by returning Accelerator to your hand, and then you just special summon Accelerator because you have Geargia MK2. And then bam, that's level 10. This would make level 10. And then you make just Justice Decisive Armor, and he's pretty nasty against agents, he's really nasty against Chaos Dragons, and Lightsworns. So once per turn, if your opponent controls a face-up light monster, you can select and activate one of these effects. Let's be honest, the last effect is like insane. So this is his effect. Send all cards in your hand to the graveyard to look at your opponent's hand, and send all light monsters in their hand to the graveyard. Then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the total attack of the opponent's monsters sent to the graveyard. So that means if they have multiple Hyperions and maybe BLS, oh, you just win the game by just going Decisive Armor. And what's insane with Decisive Armor, he can still attack that turn. Whereas a lot of these cards that have like really good effects, like you can exceed monsters, you can't attack that turn or something like that. It'll be something like Big Eye, where it's like this card cannot attack the turn you activate the effect. Yeah, so like that was one thing with Decisive Armor. I was like, this card's so easy to make in this deck. Basically, I mean, you literally have a armor that searches out this card, and then you just summon it. And as long as you basically all you need is Birdman in your hand to make that play. It's so easy. Birdman plus armor equals like pretty much Decisive Armor, and you can really do a lot of work with that card, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I think that Decisive Armor is a great addition to the deck. As far as extra deck, I mean, Big Eye, pretty good. I mean, you can just go with that. Another thing I wanted to mention, Tragodia is actually really good in this deck. Because I've noticed, again, if you don't have the first turn armor or gear frame, Tragodia allows you to put a threatening card on the field that, you know, some decks don't like to deal with. Sometimes against Chaos Dragons, against Dino Rabbit, even against Mermaid Atlanteans, sometimes if you throw out Trag with like too much attack, and they don't have the ability to just get rid of it, because a lot of times their answer is Catastrophe versus bigger monsters, and Catastrophe doesn't really deal with Tragodia, so they'll be forced to, you know, kind of use multiple cards to get rid of Tragodia, and that's again where the deck could really shine, because when they use multiple cards and you Solemn Warning, you know, you'll be, you know, in a much better position. But also one really cool thing with Tragodia is because Geargia Armor allows you to add, you know, any level, like you can really just set up your hand to like set up Trag plays. Like you're like, oh, this guy's playing a whole bunch of level 4s. Okay, I'm just gonna keep on adding level 4s, and then once he goes for his play, like if you make like a Geargia X, you can then detach and then search for Gear Frame. And if you know you're playing against a deck that makes level 8s, what's really cool is you can go Trag, drop Trag, and then you can summon Gear Frame, and then search out for a cannon, and then just discard cannon and just take their level 8. And it's really good against certain decks. So I think that Trag is a pretty good addition to the deck, but and it doesn't necessarily have synergy. I feel like it's just a standalone card that works relatively well when you don't open up with the armor. And that's just one problem I had with this deck. I was playing Giant Rats at one point, if anyone remembers that. Yeah, I was playing Giant Rats because, yeah, like the first turn, like you need armor first turn so bad, like sometimes I would just like go rat into armor and just call set armor, because I don't know, I felt like armor was really needed in the deck, and that's one problem I have with the deck is you gotta open up armor, otherwise, especially if you're playing Karakuris. Karakuris can OTK like a lot more successfully, I would say, rather than like the Geargia, or I'm sorry, the Machina variant. But the Machina variant, I just like it better. It just allows you to have more consistency because of Gear Frame, and also I hated drawing the Karakuris. Because the dog was kind of bad in the hand. The other one wasn't too bad because at least you can like flip like armor. I'll go to the Karakuris that you played, just in case anyone was interested in like making the deck. I don't know their names off the top of my head. I know it's the dog and it's the guy that's like, I think he's sitting Indian style. Yeah, that guy. This is the one you play. You usually play I think one of him, and then you play two of the dogs. Is it this one? This is the watchdog. So unfortunately, he doesn't really have good attack or defense. He's got decent defense, not good. But he's just pretty much used because he's level 4 tuner. And, what does it do? Well, once an attack position, it can't be destroyed by battle. But, change battle position? It's selected as attack target, change the battle position. So if you summon an attack, that target for attack and just goes to defense, and maybe it dies anyways. Because it only can't be destroyed by battle when it's in face of attack position. So, I guess you can set it, and then they attack it, and then you just take damage. But again, I don't like the Karakuri build as much as I do the Machina build, because again, it's just like the consistency of Gear Frame was just nice. Also Duality, because like you go for that first turn. And this isn't like the perfect build of Geargias at all. There's so many different ways to play it, but I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about Geargias. Like, if any of you guys have experience with the deck, please let me know what, you know, other cards that you think are good in Geargias. Mostly the Machina build is what I'm looking more towards, because again, with the Karakuris, I just don't like drawing the Karakuris. Like, this one's okay, but the other one's like, I really don't like that card. But yeah, I know it sets up for explosive plays that can OTK off of just like one armor. Well, you would need Birdman too, but yeah, it can OTK really fast. But I think I've covered most of the stuff that like I want to talk about in this deck. Like the whole Torrential thing. Like I really want to play Torrential, but I just don't know how to like successfully use Torrential. If you guys know how to use Torrential like effectively in this deck, because like I said, like the play I had, I thought it was good, but then like I ended up with an empty field every time because I would get rid of their monster and then I would have an armor in my hand, but I already normal summoned the Accelerator, and yeah, then I was like, oh, it's cool, and can't do anything other than drop this. This card's pretty nasty. And then yeah, Lances or something I don't think much the Geargia Karakuri players play, and I like it because again this card is too good. Also Bottomless, like this guy always gets Bottomless because there's very few cards that you'd actually want a Bottomless in this deck. And then let me know if you guys play like Sangin, because I thought Sangin was okay. It wasn't like fantastic, but it definitely wasn't like a bad card by any means. But anyways, yeah, let me know what you guys think if you have played this deck, or you know you want to check it out, right? Maybe, and you could see how you can use more cards that I'm not playing. Like I think Compulse is a good card. I'll probably fit it in there, but yeah, I think I want to cut these two, and then I want to play maybe I'll take this out and put another Mirror Force, and then I'll play like 2 Compulse or something like that. I think that'd be a pretty solid lineup. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, thanks for sharing your input with me, guys. Asian Dice signing out.